was nervous as hell, in meeting her because I was coming straight from work in Portland, and I had no idea what to expect. But I once I got to the destination, she greeted me with such a warm smile that all my fears went away. And we talked a bit, and then she started the Reiki session, and it was the most unbelievably calming, relaxing experience. She knew some things about me that I kind of maybe have mentioned, um, but she is good. And then after which we talked about, the session wrestling business. She, like I said, she only does fantasy wrestling, guys and gals. So the reason she only does that is because she's also a runner, she told me. But we talked, I told her about this podcast. In fact, yesterday when we spoke, I asked her specifically if I could profile her on this podcast tonight, and she said, "Yeah, that would be great." So, it was a good conversation we had, and down the road we are going to be shooting some clips that will be up for sale on clipsforsale.com. So, stay tuned for that. Let's take a look and see who has had some big events this week. We'll check over on cagematch.net. Oh wait, I do have to announce this. WWE celebrates the real hero of WrestleMania. And WWE.com's photo gallery, dream opponents for the Mrs. Dad, from which there's a picture of him with a laughing Brock Lesnar, the gobbledygooker, Sting, Bob Backlund, The Undertaker. Oh my God. So you guys are gonna have to check that out. Let's take a look at some of. So it looks like. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da. Champions Carnival in All Japan Wrestling is in their 9th, 10th, 11th day. The Champions Carnival is a tournament, basically. And I don't even know who's in All Japan Wrestling anymore because it's been such a revolving door. They're either in, Sam Adonis, Joel Redman, Joe Doring, Dylan James. Who is Dylan James? I think I know that name somewhere. He may have been in. Maybe not. He's from New Zealand, so maybe that's where I've heard of him. But yeah, the Champions Carnival is basically like the G1 Climax in New Japan. The Road to Wrestling Dontaku. Let's take a look and see who is there. Nothing too impressive. Of course, a recommended match was on 205 Live. Cedric Alexander and Oni Lorcan. Lorcan picked up the victory. And in a fatal four-way match, Arya Davari defeats Akira Tozawa, Grand Metalik, and Mike Kanellis. But it looks like everybody was really hyped up about the 205 Live event. So let's back out here. There was something I saw. Uh, I just lost my train of thought. Mark Henry was on the Lords of Pain and gave his, on the Busted Open radio, revealed his top 10 African American wrestlers of all time. To no surprise, The Rock was number one. Let's see. So from Mark Henry's top 10, from 10 to 1, number 10, Carlos Colon. He's Puerto Rican. I really don't think that could be considered African American. Number 9, Bearcat Wright. Bearcat Wright was a guy from the 60s and 70s who tragically passed away from sickle cell anemia. Luther Lindsay, who actually appeared in Portland in the 1950s and 60s. At number 7, Booker T. Number 6, the Big Cat, Ernie Ladd. Again, another one from this. Ernie Ladd was a professional football player and, a professional wrestler before he retired from football. He played for the San Diego Chargers way back when. An imposing figure. I mean, he was one of the tallest at the time at 6'8". This was before Andre came to North America. Number 5, Sailor Art Thomas. Number 4, Ron Simmons. Well, considering it was Simmons who brought Mark Henry into the Nation of Domination in the late 90s, I could see that. Number 3, Bobo Brazil. Well, I can't even talk. Brazil and Ernie Ladd had a legendary feud. Bobo Brazil helped pave the way for a lot of African Americans in wrestling, especially in the Detroit area where he had a legendary feud with the Sheik. Of course, the Sheik's nephew is Sabu. Number 2, Jim Mitchell. I don't think I know who that is. And of course, number 1 is The Rock. Now, if you were to ask me my top 10 African American wrestlers of all time, I would say, first off, at number 10, I would list a guy by the name of Brickhouse Brown. Brickhouse was a mainstay in the Memphis area. Came to Portland a few times, was really popular with the young kids and the fans, held a lot of regional titles. Number 9 would be Iceman King Parsons. He was a mainstay. He had a spell in Portland as well, before he went down to Texas in the world class area. King Parsons actually was in one of the more notorious angles between him and Buddy Roberts of the Fabulous Freebirds, where they did a hair versus hair match, and King Parsons lost the match, but he didn't have much hair to begin with. But he put, the hair removal cream on Buddy Roberts, who ended up wearing wigs and boxing headgear for about 6 months to a year. So that's number 9. Number 8 would be, who would be number 8? Oh, probably, oh my gosh, who would be number 8? Not Virgil, that's for sure. Number 8 for me probably would be D'Lo Brown. Vastly, vastly underrated performer. He could do things as a big man. He basically laid the groundwork for guys, big men, doing cruiserweight things. when I first saw him, he was over 300 pounds, and then he, lost a lot of weight and slimmed down to about 230, 240. Then of course you've got The Rock, who is half African American. Of course you can't forget Kofi Kingston, who's had a fantastic career in the WWE. Of course, that's not even saying without saying that he's the WWE champion now. But I've always been a fan of Kofi's. When he first came in, he was the Jamaican guy, and then he lost his Jamaican accent, and then he was from Ghana, which is the truth. And then the Intercontinental titles, the U.S. titles, the tag titles, and now he's the WWE champion, which is pretty impressive resume right there. Another name that my top 10 would be Butch Reed. Butch Reed was a power wrestler, base wrestler in the 80s and early 90s. He came into the national scene in 1987 with the WWF as the natural Butch Reed. Even this goes as far as saying his hair was natural, even though it was bleach blonde. He later rose to national fame in the WCW as one half of the tag team Doom with Ron Simmons. Originally, they were masked men. They lost a mask versus titles match to the Steiner brothers. Then they won the WCW tag titles, and they held them for quite a period of time in 1991 or 1990. They lost them in 91. So let's see. Let me count here. Brickhouse, King Parsons, Kofi, Butch Reed. That's 4. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 would be Bobo Brazil. Number 5 for me would be Mark Henry. And that's about as far as I can get right now. But back to Monday here. You can go on her website and you can get the rates that she charges for her sessions. If you were to do the healing services, it would be $140 for 30 minutes, $220 for 60 minutes, and so on and so forth. If you want the dominatrix sessions, that's going to cost you a little bit more. So, but that's the way the business works. But she is a very, 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 very wonderful human being. I wish her great success when she does her run. I believe she told me that she has a race on May 18th of this year. And I am going to be rooting for her and pulling for her and hoping that she does an awesome job there. Ever since I had that Reiki session with her, I've become a big, big fan of hers. I just can't stop. Just can't say enough about her. She is just awesome. I hope you guys one day get to have the same experience as I did with her, and I'm going to be a repeat customer with the healing sessions because they were that good. But of course, I'm going to cut this one short. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I hope your Easter you have a very happy Easter. You're with your families. You do some Easter egg hunts with them little kids of yours. I will be back Monday evening with my interview with a session wrestler and LFC's rising star Tomiko, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific